Hey, my name is Allie, for those of you who don't know me, and I am the maker behind Crochet in the Mud, where I do both crochet plushies as well as pottery. This is going to be another one of my weekly makes, and this week we have 2 bags to go over. So it's been a very productive crochet week. No pottery was done this week, so I had all 5 days to stay at home, and I got quite a bit done. So this week was a lot of different items, so I have a huge variety this week to go over, with a theme of about half of them being Pride related. So I am working on prepping for my Pride market, which is going to be mid-June, and we're slowly going to work our way up. I won't have only Pride plushies at that market, but I try to have a huge variety and quite a bit of Pride plushies there as well, and my bestsellers do pretty well there as well, so always good to have a variety of everything. I started the week off by making the Friendly Frog from Crochet by Jenna. I'm slowly working my way through her book, and this was the one I decided to work on. It's not my favorite frog, but I knew that going into it. So the Friendly Frog is finished, and with my formula it came out to $21. If you're new here, I calculate my pricing based off of weight of material as well as my time, and then I add in a profit margin. So that's what I mean by according to my formula it came out to this price. The next thing I did this week was work on some squids. So I have 2 different sizes. I have the baby squid, which is much smaller, and then the full-size squid. These are both by Plushie Co, and all of the patterns will be linked in the description as always. But I made 2 baby squids and 1 big squid, all in this color called Dried Flowers. The baby squids are $28 and the big squid is $48. Keeping in that same general idea and using that same yarn, I did make a whale using the Dried Flowers. So this one I view as like a subtle lesbian flag. It could just be me, but I like to have this colorway represented when I go to Pride markets because I feel like it is a subtle way. Maybe I'm crazy, but I also feel like this is called Sailing Oceans, I think. It might be discontinued, but this one I feel like is a very nice subtle trans flag. It has the pink, the white, and the blue in there. So I ended up making 2 whales of the lesbian and 1 of the trans because that's what the yarn allowed me to do. And for these I charged $36. The next thing I did was finish out the rest of the rainbow tofu turtles that I started last week, and then I had 9 more to finish. These are $20 each, and they just needed their bodies added, but I'll count them fully for this week. Additionally, if you watched a couple weeks ago, you would have seen that I started to make some dolphins using the Just Chenille yarn that I bought at the Dollar Tree. And it had everything done except all of the fins. So I finished the 2 of these. This yarn is a little smaller, so this dolphin came out a little holier than I would like, but I'm sure somebody will love it. And for these I charged $18. However, I did get a comment that encouraged me to make a pink river dolphin, so I went ahead and made it in my Cotton Candy Premier Parfait chunky yarn, and I think this is adorable, and I hope somebody will love it. I'll probably make more in the future. I just, for the sake of this, only made 1 so that I wouldn't get stuck with the bodies that just need the fins, because I found I don't care for making the fins. It's mainly because for these fins you have to crochet 3 shut, if you know what I mean, and that's really hard when you only have the 6 stitches around and the tiny yarn. So I feel like that's why I always procrastinate the fins. But so we have 1 more of those, and I'll charge the same amount as the blue one, so $18 for this guy. And then that yarn was almost finished, so I went ahead and made 1 more jelly, and I have quite a bit of these pink jellies. I charged $21 for these, and so far the 2 markets I've been to, they've sold really well. So I figured, why not? I wanted to finish off that skein to help out my how much yarn can I use in the month of April video that I believe is coming this Friday if I get it edited fast enough. If not, next Wednesday. But Went ahead and finished that up. I really enjoy this pattern. The tentacles are the annoying parts because, you know, you feel like you're not doing a lot, but it's a lot of stitches, if you know what I mean. Like, they just take longer than the rest of the body. So 1 jelly. After that, I did start to focus more on my store because they are getting low on some items, and we are approaching the summer, which is a busy time at the store. And I already had the tops done, so I went ahead and made 4 of my Mushie Bois. These will all go to my store. I think they might be sold out at my store. And for some reason at this location, anything mushroom themed does really well. So these guys usually do pretty decent when they're there, and I charge $18 for these. Also for the store, they're running low, so I made some Mallard Ducks. I ended up making 10 of these, and I charge $18 for my ducks. They are usually one of my best sellers, and I was trying to finish the emerald green color I had, so I ended up making 10 Mallard Ducks, which was more than I was aiming for, but I'm not mad. It's always good to have these around. So I believe I'll give 6 to my store and keep 4 for markets. That's the current goal, at least, because I have more currently in my market inventory than I do at my store, and these will do really well over the summer. I also want to make sure I leave them plenty stocked because if you are unaware, I will have a full-time job this summer, so that's going to make it really hard for me to go in and restock them as well as market prep for them. So I am trying to figure out if it's better to focus on my markets or focus on my store with the remaining time I have. I believe this is my last full week. Is it? No. I have 2 more full weeks of doing full-time the crochet and pottery during the day, and then I have a couple weeks where I have night training, so I'll still be able to during the day restock, but you've got to prep yourself for success. So the next thing I worked on, I did have a couple of the hats done, so I finished 2 chick with frog hats. I do still have 2 hats left, so I will have to go back and finish those another week, probably this week. But I found myself not wanting to, and I just wasn't going to force anything this week. So these guys I do sell for $16. They were a bestseller at my first market. They sold out within like an hour and a half. And then the second market, I sold 1 of. Granted, they were in like a prime place when they were a bestseller, and then they weren't in a great place display-wise when I only sold 1. So we'll have to see at the next couple of markets. They also did pretty decent at my store. They lasted about a month, and I think I had 5. So I think 5 selling in a month is pretty good. So I currently have 2. These 2 will probably go to the store because they currently have none. But at some point, I need to make a crap ton of these. Whenever I'm in the mood for it, I wasn't letting myself do it because I didn't know how well they'd sell. And now that I have the ability to make an army of them, my brain doesn't want to. So I'm sure you know exactly the feeling that I'm having. But 2 more of these guys. And then on that same line of I've been wanting to make it forever, and then when I finally made it, I didn't want to make another. I finally made the Giraffe in the Crochet by Jenna book. And this one, I made the first one. And then when it came time to do the second, which is the version that I timed myself on, I didn't want to do it. So I didn't force anything. I made this on Friday, so I never had a chance this week to make my second to price it. So I'm currently guessing it's going to be about $38. That's what I've calculated for the week. I used Buttercup as the yellow and then Baby Sand as the dots, and then this is Almond. So Baby Sand and Almond are pretty close. But I'm not exactly sure how I feel about the colors I chose. I asked Henry, giraffes are his favorite animal, and he said the yellow is too light. But the problem is the only other yellow I have is this school bus yellow, which is going to be too bright. But I feel like I have the opposite issue where I think the yellow color is perfect. It's the spots color that's throwing me off. But the only other brown I have in Bernat is Taupe, which I think is going to be too dark. So I am planning in the future to order from Premier Yarns and try out their blanket yarn. And I feel like they have a lot of browns. So when that comes in, I'll probably try it out with the Buttercup, see how I like it. But at the moment, this is the best color combo I have. I do really like the pattern. And Henry also liked it as well because his complaints about giraffes I've made in the past were that they had no neck, and this one does indeed have a neck. So I do really enjoy this one. Let me kind of turn the light off, see if you can see better. It is a little cloudy out today, so I'm not sure. Does that help you see the color better? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think of this color combo, or if you use Bernat Blanket, what colors do you like to use for giraffes? Again, I used Buttercup and Baby Sand for this giraffe. And then a little sneak peek to Wednesday's video. I went through and I made a scrap bear. If you're unaware of what I mean by that, I went through my yarn behind me, found a bunch of scrap yarn that I don't have any plans for. It's not enough yarn to really do anything besides making like a pocket octopus. So I gathered it all up into a bucket. There's a whole video of this coming out Wednesday. And then I entered the colors into a wheel spinner, similar to last Wednesday's video where the wheel picked what plushie I made. And then I did each limb in that color and then switched if I had more yarn left, or I just went until the yarn ran out. So this was the bear that I got. I can't tell my thoughts on it. It's definitely interesting that the legs and the body ended up being variegated, and then like the head and the arms, or one arm, is solid. But this is how he turned out. I do really like the eyes I paired with it, if you can see. Maybe I'll insert a video of the eyes. So I made this guy. I again asked Henry for his opinion because I can't tell. And he said it's a really good ugly cute, where it's so ugly it's adorable. So I don't know, be nice in the comments, but let me know, is it cute, is it ugly cute? Do you think somebody will buy this? I hope so. But I had a lot of yarn still left over, so I went ahead and made a second one. And this is how that one turned out. It's a lot more stripy, especially in the head. And I can't tell if I like one more than the other. They're both definitely very unique, and I hope somebody will love it. I feel like I like this one more, but again, I don't know. And then I'll show you the eyes for that one. Again, you can't really see it. So I will insert a video of the eyes. Both of these eyes I did make myself. I have been trying to find a cool resin eye combination that I like of the mica powders and glitters I have. So these were kind of some tester eyes that I didn't care for, but I felt like matched the rainbowness of the bear. For this pattern, I'm just going to sell them at the price that I normally sell this pattern at, which is $43. So hopefully somebody will like them. They are quite big and they are a labor of love. So hopefully people love them despite their color changes, or maybe they love it because of their weird colors. So I ended up making 12 different patterns this week, which I haven't done in a while, but it was kind of nice to be able to keep switching up what I was doing every day. Like for the 8 turtles, I don't think I did them all in one sitting. I kind of was like slowly doing it. I believe I made all of the heads one day, then moved on to something else, and then I made a couple of bodies, moved on to something else. So it was a very nice change of pace. Also, if you did not notice, I did use some, I can't point. I did use some of my black safety noses. I am trying to work through my collection of them. I use small pink safety noses quite a bit with my cats. I don't do the loaf cat pattern, I do a different cat pattern. But they are adorable with the small pink safety nose. But I've yet to find a way I can order just that size of pink safety noses. So I get a lot of variety packs, some of which also have black. So I am trying to work through that stash because it's grown quite a bit. I also have a lot of big pink noses that I'm not quite sure what to do with. So if you have ideas, aside from like dogs and bears, because it's the only thing I can think of to put noses on, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. If you have a pattern that you love putting noses on, let me know. I'm just really trying to use them, especially if it's going to use a pink nose. Cats are the only things really that I've used pink noses on, so trying to get creative and use them. I mean, I guess I could have on one of these bears to match the, like there's a pink stripe in here, but I used the small pink noses, so it kind of would have been a waste to use a small pink, I guess. But I did end up for the week making 40 items total, and that doesn't feel like a lot. I feel like I did a lot more. Like, part of me even thought my spreadsheet was not doing the math correctly, but it is. I feel like I just normally throw in a lot of pocket octos. Oh, dang. Speaking of pocket octos, though, I did make 3 this week, but I did not add the eyes or stuff them, so they're not finished. They don't count towards the week. I just completely forgot about them because I did that late on Friday. But I normally have a bunch of pocket octos, which up my numbers tremendously because I can make those really quickly. But I already have over 100 for markets, so there's not really a need for them. I think my store could probably use some more. They have a decent amount, but they sell really well, especially with the summer coming. And with the economy, people like to buy the cheaper things, especially now more than ever. So I should probably get my store stocked on the $12 plushies more than they have and expect them to sell more than typical. I feel like that's a good bet to take. But for the grand total for the week, I always have a goal to make $750 of inventory every week, ideally $1,000. But I also understand that that's kind of unrealistic. So for the week, I ended up making $917 of inventory. So with my current calculations, 212 of that should be going to eclectic, leaving 705 to go towards markets. And I just realized I forgot to go through and add it in so I could figure out how much market inventory I have. So give me just a second while I do some math. Okay, I'm back from doing some math. So I actually realized an error in one of my prices when I was doing that. So I saw that this bear pattern, my profit margin was way too low. So these are actually going to be $52, bringing my total for the week to $935. And then for the markets, currently my grand total is at $6,157 worth of inventory. So we have 4 weeks left, and we should be able to get to our $8,000 inventory goal. I'm not sure if we can quite reach the $10,000 goal. I would have to make $1,000 of just crochet plushies every week, and I do have some studio days planned, as well as I'm going to be doing a kiln load. But who knows, maybe I'll be really productive and cranking out plushies faster than I ever have. But I've also realized another error. So I believe I've been saying that I have my 3-day Memorial Day market and then 1 week off and then my Pride market. Well, because Saturdays in May and Sundays in June, that was throwing me off. So I actually have 2 weekends between my Memorial Day market and my Pride market. Yes, I just confirmed. I'd have 2 weekends between the markets. So hopefully I'll be able to prep a little bit more than I had thought in between the markets. I've done the Pride market before, so I know I do really well there. Last year I nearly sold out because I was not prepared enough. That was partly due to having a job for the first quarter of the year, to try to get spending money because I spent 3 weeks in May in Europe. So I did not have nearly enough inventory as I should have for this market. I have never done the Memorial Day market before, but I paid the most I ever have for a market. It was almost $1,000 for a booth fee, and it's going to be long, laborious days. And actually that Saturday, I have all-day training for my summer job. So Henry's going to be running that market by himself for Sunday, which we've never done before. So I know he knows how to set up and how to run the market. But this will be a different experience for me, seeing how he does. I'm sure he'll do great, and I'm hoping that the Memorial Day market will be really successful. Otherwise, I'll be a little sad because I paid so much to be there. And it's going to be, I used to know the hours, let me do the math. 25 hours between the 3 days. So hopefully we sell quite a bit. I'm sure it'll be a great market, but I also can't ignore that I do have a market coming up, not this Friday, but next Friday. Time is flying. I can't believe that May is almost here. May starts Thursday. So we are gonna get right into the swing of things, and I need to start actually booking more markets because I only have those 3 on the calendar, and normally I have more. I do have one planned for April. Not April, it's April currently. I have one I would like to do in August. It is a unicorn festival. It's just quite a hefty booth fee, and I would like to add a little bit of a cushion in the bank account before I pay for that booth fee. Also because I've just been spending all my money at Joann. I went on Saturday and yarn is now at 40% off. So my locations are pretty well stocked as of now. I did post a vlog on Friday of me going to all 8 of the Joann locations in the Denver metro area. I did skip the Boulder if you are in the area. It was too far of a drive. I just said it's not Denver metro for my plans at least. It's also not that great of a location, so I didn't want to drive that far. But hopefully yarn will hit 50% off here soon. That's when we start to get a good deal. 40% you could get with coupons before. Like I literally shopped, Valentine's Day was the last day before liquidation began, at some locations at least, and with the coupon it came out to 40% off. So hopefully we can hit 50% off soon and people don't start wiping these shelves at 40%. If they do, I'll probably join. But once we hit a really, really, really good deal, I will wipe those shelves. If there's still yarn left, and hopefully there will be. Anyhow, I'm starting to ramble now, not about weekly makes. So thank you so much for watching this week's weekly makes video. Go ahead and comment below what you were working on, and maybe I'll start to look into some new patterns. I do have to make some dreaded axolotls between this week and next week. I just hate making them, but they sell really well. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!